Welcome, Wastelanders, or whoever is actually watching or listening to this very weird and strange podcast. So, today I will bringing you something like this, and it is all about strength. And before all that, make sure to get stuck with your daily dose of medics so you can endure anything the wasteland throws at you. Not only that, but we will talk about I know that the name here is kind of like a camp, but the thing here is that I will be talking more about the physical aspect of strength itself, to which is pretty telling by itself, really. And it doesn't have like a lot of things, like we all know how to get physical in very much all the ways, if you get what I'm saying. So obviously, you will need some nutrients to it, and for that, it could either be something like fancy lad, for example, or you can have or find some delicacies, like I don't know, get into it, like mood chunks, for example. And also, if you want to carry anything around, you just have to put it in places where it can be stacked, you know? Not only that, but skulls can actually be more heavy than it may seem, even though it doesn't really look like it. But returning to your carry weight, you can always carry a lot of things in your bag, in part of your muscles. But if you don't understand, then you're just like them, for example. Also, did you know that your whole body can actually carry someone of your own same weight, just like you just see here? But don't be like this guy who's trying to carry a whole super mutant by itself. It's just pretty bad. And the safest way to do this is just by squatting and then pulling that thing up with your whole body instead of just trying to reach out on that from the ground. And if you don't understand, then something like this can happen to you. But don't you worry, we can always count on someone like Dr. Klein. Yeah, maybe he is not a really suited person, so perhaps Dr. Mobius can be of any help. Yeah, maybe the followers. They'll know eventually. So, whatever. The thing about this is that Super Mutants Behemoth can carry like thrice of whatever we can actually carry. I mean, there's no brainer about that. It's just that the difference between us and them is that we can carry a lot of things as well. The only issue is that our bodies have limits, and of course, they cannot carry pretty much that much as a behemoth, for example. But not only that, but our strength, our physical strength, it is involved in how we handle the guns, for example. In these occasions, the guns, well, the guy who's shooting this time, he's barely even reaching the target, mostly because he lacks the strength and he could barely handle the gun, so of course he's not doing a lot of things. But also, just because you have the strength, then it doesn't mean that you are capable to defeat a nest of night crawlers. So better just use something like you can handle, like for example a .22 or even a 9mm pistol, as those doesn't require that much strength. And if you do use a dead machine, for example, you can see how the sway is so big that you can barely hit someone, just like the previous example. And, well, I mean, it is pretty telling by itself. So always wander around and get to see what you can find in the wasteland. Like if you see a shiny little thing and interact with it, who knows? Perhaps you can end up being even more strong than before, just by a searching from the tin tank. And power armor can actually give you a lot of strength to use the weapons, but that doesn't mean that you know how to use it. And this that type of things can happen to you. So we don't really like power armor. We are more like the guys who want to go natural, but if you do, then he will always remember that. And here is another example of a bad use of Fatman. And this one is trying to get it to the target, but something like this can happen. And you can have some augments into your own skull, like a reinforced spine, or just become a cyborg, or anything. Or even better, something like becoming a robo brain, for example. I mean, the latter might not sound so cool, but I won't blame you if you want to become something like that, as you can see here. And why is your name scanning the why you want to erase another race? I don't know. So, there's a lot of weird guns here in the wasteland, and as you can see here, if you use the power armor, something like this can happen to you. With just a gun attached to a speaker, and all of a sudden, you cannot do anything. So, there's another thing like a grenade, like pulse grenades, um, plasma grenades, and the that they can defeat you with your power armor just like it is nothing. And as you can see here, some they can actually explode on contact. Pretty cool, am I right? And if you're really into something different, you can always use spears if you're into that. And they can impel just right through the wall with the skull of your enemies. Even if it sounds so like that, you know? And some other times they just, you know, they never explode on contact just because God wants it, I guess. But as you can see here, the explosion and the destruction coming out of a plasma grenade can just be mitigated for all purposes. You know what I'm saying? And here is another display of how to get rid of everyone that is coming on your path just with a simple grenade. And don't you worry, in times of absolute hollowness, you can actually become even stronger than before, just by simply taking all the damage that you can receive, and then with all pure rage upon your enemies can be defeated by just a simple punch, or a simple swing in this regard. So as you can see here, adrenaline is the king. But super mutants aren't all that bad. There is the case like Marcus, who is a pretty chill dude, or even the Menzovish right there in New Vegas, or even Ericsson, who can sell you some ducks. And not only super mutants are cool, but ghouls can actually be cool as well. It just happens that they are, you know, who they are, and for that reason, well, they have a pretty nasty reputation. And that is one of the things that saddens me the most because not only super mutants behave like this, but ghouls as well. Then people tend to treat them really poorly when, in all honesty, they don't even deserve it to begin with. I know that they look like a burn alive person or whatever, and they might even smell like it. But regardless, you don't have to be a complete asshole towards them. They don't deserve it. If anything, you should be taken for granted because, come on, man, we are decent folk. So start treat them like what they are, like people, because they once were humans too. And as such, the problem with them is that they cannot brag about their muscles, because us humans can actually gain a lot of power by just training and exercise. And the only issue between us humans and ghouls is that the others can do something like that, but not because you're strong. It means that you can defeat a bug fight. See? So, um, the mental breakthrough that you can have are pretty important because being someone skinny or even fat can still be a threat, as actually back in the day in pre-war times, even someone who was pretty skinny, and regardless of gender, even if it was a woman or even a guy, it really doesn't matter. For how crazy they were, they could actually defeat kind of like everyone who's trying to hold them back. How or why does this happen? Well, our brain actually gives us some sort of limitations towards what we can use in order to just, I don't know, walk around and carry this thing and whatnot. So when you are really crazy, you just happen to put that thing aside and then just go all your way to pretty much do beyond what you are actually capable of. And for doing so, your your muscles and your whole body will kind of like explode by itself. Why? Because you're not only accustomed to it, you're not supposed to be doing that thing too. So of course you will really, really feel it. And again, even if you are crazy enough to just be capable of anything, it doesn't mean that some can kick your ass. But you just saw there. But don't you worry, there are still ways to handle this type of stuff. Like for example, if you know how to hold and grab the bite tightly, you can just do something like this. Also, addicts are quite strong and possibly a really big threat. Not only that, but some actually kind of like have some manners to them. So they are not like a nationwide threat unless. Wait a minute, that shit never happened. This did.
Ver cómo te sientas.
Será mejor que hables con el... ¿De verdad? Jod, toma. Aquí podrías cargarte a otro de... ¿Has matado a otro? Vaya. Este psicópata se cargó a muchos hombres buenos. Supongo que podemos enviar a los del primero de reconocimiento. Ya van 2 psicópatas muertos. Si eso es cierto. Sí, es cocinillas. Siempre ha olido. Bueno, al menos para una soldada. No sé si te has dado cuenta de que estás en... Ojalá yo tu...
Wait, what about a fist fight? I'm glad you're asking. Because actually your knuckles can be as strong like this one, or even a baseball bat can throw enemies all the way across the board. So your knuckles actually can do a lot of damage, and even more so if you use the sharp edges of your own knuckles instead of the whole hand. As if you use the hand, then you may get a sore hand until you get it with more experience. Also, do you remember about alcohol? Well, yeah, that thing can actually make your limitations be just out of their way, and now you're even stronger than before. Why does this happen? Just like I was saying in the same video here, well, alcohol actually gives you some, well, it gets rid of the limitations that your body is set to put. All those boundaries are now gone, and the Legion knows it. So for that same reason, they kind of have like a style of which they actually are drunk while they are fighting themselves. Why does this happen? Well, mostly because there is no limitation. So of course, you need to brag about it. same with something like an anti-material 50 cal and sniper rifle. That thing can destroy and decimate whatever you want here in the wasteland. And yes, as you will see here, size does matter. Why am I saying this? Because, I mean, it is pretty cool, just like you just saw. And not only that, but even if you can handle the sizes of those weapons, you can still use something like this one, for example. Or how about the Ranging Sequoia, who are pretty cool just by themselves. But if you are like real man that you should, then you can always use something way funnier than, well, like Batman. Or how about a minigun, for example? I mean, come on. How is that? How is this thing not so fun? I mean, seriously. But whatever. Also, with the proper strength, you can see how stable it is. And not only that, but your shots are actually landing this time. So, yeah, I'm actually using a bow armor. Yeah, zoom, whatever. But the important thing here is the fact that you are using it just like you should. And like this example, you are using a flamethrower, a flame, or whatever you want to call it, whatever out here. It's just another reason to why strength is so important. And also, if you're really strong enough, you can use a Gauss rifle like it was nothing. Not only that, but you just destroy everyone right there. Also, remember about your knuckles and how your punches can be so strong. Well, here is another example of your palms that can paralyze the people. So, for that same reason, you should always ask for help around the wasteland, because even the elders or the people who are older than pretty much everyone can give you a lot of cool moves. And even if it is your kicks, your punches, your knees, whatever that you're using to hit the other target, those still count. And a lot. Mostly here in the wasteland, and even if they look ridiculous, it really doesn't matter. What matters is the effectiveness of such things. Because with experience comes really and great powerful moves that you can use right here in the wasteland. And they are not only the only people who can actually teach you some tricks here and there. There were stories about some people down in San Fran who can actually teach you how to kick properly, like the Shi, for example, or like here. You can just stun them because you are that strong, and now you can just go past through them for how big and strong you actually are. So of course, I will show you what that actually looks like. I hope with all of that you don't have a sore muscle, weakling. And with that, we reach the end. Now you can handle yourself better here in the wasteland. And for that, I will hope to see you out there.